Welcome to another MiTunes podcast right here at manxradio.com.
Marc Tyley, the nation station, Manx Radio.
Now, sometimes on MiTunes, I talk about a musician or an artist, and we go through a few bits and pieces, and we put it all together, and the 4 tunes are played, and it's all rather lovely. Today, I could possibly take, 6 months worth of MiTunes to go through the life of my guest today. He is Virgil North. Andy North, welcome to MiTunes.
Oh, thank you, Mark.
Well, you sent me a wonderful piece of work about your life. And honestly, if I just take, for the listener who doesn't know what you've been up to, over 50 sort of different occupations, an equal number of near-death experiences, being paid to play video games, teach roller skating, and kayaking halfway around Europe, on the watery bits, that is. But the list goes on. You like an adventure, sir?
I think I was always an explorer and an inventor. And if I cast my mind back, I remember the power of creating the nettle spear. You know, we had some gangs when we were 11. Ooh. And we rolled around. And I remember just putting a pair of gloves on and taking a nettle, putting it on the end of a bit of bamboo. And you could keep the rival gangs. Not that Glenvine had some hardcore gangs, but just creating things and seeing new things. I like that.
The wind-chilled streets of fear of Glenvine. That's as a young man growing up. When did you first leave the island to start getting these completely amazing world experiences?
Well, while I was still at school, I applied to sail on the Ocean Youth Club. They had a kind of sponsorship, and I went off to the Scottish Highlands and sailed around. And it was there that I kind of fell in love with. My dad had played the guitar, but there was a guy playing the guitar in a loch on the deck of this beautiful 72-foot ketch. And when he played music, I went, I want to learn the guitar. I mean, I'd had no interest in it hearing my dad play it, but then suddenly, a spark kind of lit. And it was just the place and the music, and it was one of the best renditions of "Stairway to Heaven."
Fair enough. I mean, in and out of all these amazing occupations, music has been a thread running through since that moment. Really, you've been in various bands, you've been touring, you've done this, you've done that, and I will promise you, we'll come back to the music, and we will obviously talk about your latest venture, which is fantastic. And involves helping people in a most beautiful way. We'll talk about that. But I did mention a kayak journey of length. Talk me through that, please.
Well, I'd always wanted to see the coast of Norway, so it was the only way I could afford to do it. So I sold a saxophone and bought a kayak, and I know before I left that I was a bit unsure. I could roll a kayak, but only 2 times out of 5.
Yes.
Which isn't. It's not great for your psychological stability. That you're going to paddle up the coast of Norway and paddle across the Irish Sea, and so what I did was just load it up with all my gear, paddle out to sea in the middle of Njarbel Bay. So I was far away. I had no way of getting back in, and I said to myself, if I roll it this time, I can roll, and that was the end of it. And I capsized upside down, and I came up and I went, yes. And so I just had to get rid of that doubt that when you're on your own, you're going to drown.
I mean, it's a heck of a solo journey. So what was the route? Talk us through the route.
So I laid a course off in the Shore Hotel. This is not how to do it, by the way, if anyone's listening. If you take... There was a chart on the wall, so I just laid a course off towards Cumbria. So I was going to go and visit my brother, who lived in Barrow-in-Furness, and so I laid the course off, and I counted for a little bit of the tide. It was going to take 10 hours. Tide goes up and it goes down, and I went, do you know what? That should be fine. 90 degrees. Put it on my compass and left from Laxey Harbour. And after about 10 hours, and it was calm when I set off, and then it was quite windy when I got to that point. But I still, after 10 hours, couldn't see any land, and it was a bit, it was a bit hazy. And I thought, do you know what I've done? I've packed my knife and fork underneath the compass, and I'm in the middle of the Irish Sea somewhere. I'm probably on my way to Liverpool. No one knows where I am. And I remember thinking, that was a bit silly. And then a dolphin jumped out of the water right next to me.
Good.
And it was just one of those, oh. And it was almost saying, it's okay, it's fine. And I didn't follow him, but I just suddenly went, right, just keep going. And 20 minutes later, I could just see Sellafield on my left, and I could see Barrow-in-Furness. And all the way across, I'd been hearing this kind of explosion, and I had paddled into the RAF bombing range, which was Ravensglass. So it wasn't the most well-researched trip.
I mean, in fairness to you, it's not something with police tape around it. If you haven't got lots of navigational equipment, I can understand you drifting into it. I mean, you knew it was there, yes?
Well, I'd seen it on the chart, but I didn't think they'd be actually practicing.
And they were.
So, yeah, they were, but they hadn't spotted a kayak. But they finished for 5 o'clock, and luckily it was half
Time
5.
for tea.
Yeah.
Time for tea, you see. We're going to talk more about this. Loads to talk about this week. I told you we could have had a 6-monther. We may yet. Let's go for your first piece of music.
Well, it's the effect that music has on you, and again, it would change tomorrow. I didn't pre-prepare, but Follow the Sun by Xavier Rudd, and it just really makes you listen to your breath and just feel the joy of life.
Follow the sun, and which way the wind blows when this day is done. Breathe in the air, set your intentions, dream with care. Tomorrow's a new day for everyone, a brand new moon and brand new sun. So follow the sun, the direction of the birds, the direction of love. Breathe in the air, cherish this moment, cherish this breath. Tomorrow's a new day for everyone, a brand new moon, brand new sun. When you feel life coming down on you like a heavy weight, when you feel this crazy society adding to the strain, take a stroll to the nearest water's edge. Remember your place. Many moons have risen and fallen long, long before you came. So which way is the wind blowing? what does your heart say? So follow the sun, and which way the wind blows when this day is done.
My guest all this week on MiTunes got a kayak, and he set off for Norway via an Air Force bombing range. And but still here, Andy North is my guest. Andy, what an adventure that was. I mean, how long did it take you to do that kayaking expedition?
I hasten to add, I didn't paddle from Newcastle to Bergen.
No.
And I got on a ferry with a set of wheels. I wheeled onto the ferry and wheeled off the other side. And then, it took, I was 2 months heading up the coast. And the first week I stayed, I found a little secret beach around the corner of Bergen, and I put up my camp there. And I went, and I knew I didn't have enough money to survive for that time, so I started busking in Bergen, and I started with my flute, playing a few jigs and reels, and I wasn't getting much, and it was a really strange thing. What I did get, I suddenly felt compelled to give away. There was people wandering along. It was the time of the Chernobyl disaster, and there was people collecting for that. And I just thought, you know what, you need it more than I did. And when I gave that away, something strange happened, actually. The next day, I brought a ukulele that I was only just learning to play, a harmonica, and sang a sea shanty. And I must have made 40 quid in half an hour. And that just blew my mind, that suddenly, after giving it all away, I was suddenly receiving. And I thought, that was really quite profound.
It is. It's a heck of a message. And also, I guess, to realise that you could generate funds by playing music to people.
Yeah, and that was the first time I was just playing an old Pogues song. That was the first time. It was 1995. Sea shanties weren't trendy. In fact, we're famous now for. We haven't made them trendy, but we were even playing them for a while when they weren't. Yeah. But it just, I think the sea connects people, and somehow the land kind of divides us all, and so sea shanties were the original world music where people collected, and the sailors were the travellers, and they collected little bits and pieces, and and I can just hear in them lots of influences.
And they do travel universally. I mean, they're the sailing fraternity, whether it be, merchant shipping or even sailors for pleasure, there is a connectivity right around the world, without a doubt. You were you actually looked at the Fleet Air Arm, and you fancied rescuing people and all that, but you didn't fancy having to go into sort of battle situations. Are you at heart a pacifist?
I mean, it is a fascinating question. At the time, I did say, no, I won't kill someone. It's a really hard dilemma, isn't it? I think we all have to. You face that in a individual situation at a certain time. So I'm not saying I would never.
And it was a realization during the process of applying for this. You thought, actually, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, well, again, the careers guidance is a wonderful thing. They said, if you want to fly air sea rescue, you have to join the Fleet Air Arm, which is part of the Navy. But they neglected to mention that you could fly a Harrier jump jet, and then you're the one with the red missile button. Yeah. And so they just wanted to check, and I never gave it a second thought that I might have to do that.
Out of all the jobs, without going through 50 odd, and without talking about the latest, because that's tomorrow, we're going to talk about the latest venture tomorrow. Can you put them into some sort of order? Let's go for your big top three.
Do you know, that is pretty tough, isn't it?
Oh, but out of 50, yeah, it must be.
I'm still really, really enjoy teaching a little bit of music in a kind of subversive way, because I'm You know, like it's one of those, you know, many people have been put off by music and teaching. So I would say I've really enjoyed just helping people find the joy of music. So, you know, that's quite heartwarming. The strangest, I suppose, which always enters lots of other conversations, but I was paid to be an exorcist. Did I enjoy that? No, but it really opened my mind to something, seeing that there's something in the world that maybe doesn't belong.
Wow.
That is that was quite a profound experience. And
Did you have to take sort of holy orders for this?
No, I had to just do it.
Do it.
I had to just do it for the sake of a young person. And was the question enjoyed most? That was the scariest by a long stretch.
When was this, Andy?
That was in about 2001. And when it worked, I was offered lots of jobs.
It did work.
It did work, yeah.
Goodness.
So, you know, but I've never told, I won't tell you the employer.
No.
But they... So that was something I walked away from and went, do you know what? I don't want anything to do with that kind of stuff.
This is not Ghostbusters, ladies and gentlemen. This is Andy North. So it was a personal service, and he doesn't want to do it again, necessarily. Let's have today's piece of music, please.
Today, I think we are doing Rhiannon Giddens' beautiful version of Wayfaring Stranger, which is just destroying in its beauty.
Traveling through this world alone, there is no sickness, toil, nor danger in that fair land to which I go. I'm going home to meet my mother. I'm going home, no more to roam. I'm just going over Jordan. I'm just going over home. I know dark clouds will hover o'er me. I know my pathway's rough and steep. The golden fields lie out before me, where weary eyes no more will weep. I'm going home to meet my father. I'm going home, no more to roam. I'm just going I'll drop that cross of self-denial and enter in that home with God. I'm going home to meet my Savior. I'm going home, no more to roam. I'm just going over Jordan. I'm just going over home. I'm just going over Jordan. I'm just going over
Yesterday on MiTunes, my guest who all this week is the wonderful, well-travelled Andy Virgil North, just touched on something that took me by surprise because I had no idea he was involved in an exorcism. We're not going to go into details, Andy, but I just want you mentioned that it was a success. How do you measure the success of an exorcism?
Well, it was a moment where a young person, I've worked with lots of young people who've been in various difficult situations. And sometimes you just notice that there's something wrong. And this is coming through a lot in epigenetics, and people, it's become mainstream really that people have trauma from their previous lives, their parents' previous lives. It travels genetically, a lot of trauma. And who knows, there's so much more in the world than we know about. And I know very little about it, but I've studied. And if it works, it's a confrontation of spirits. And again, I'm not an expert on all things spirit-led, but when it worked, and they changed for the better.
So you noticed that in the person?
Yeah, everyone noticed
Everybody
that.
noticed,
And they offered me a job saying, well, will you do this all the time? And I
Were you exhausted by it personally? Was it something you felt drained after?
Yeah, well, yes, definitely. And shocked that there's a part of you doesn't believe in. But, I have seen plenty of strange things, including, I've seen a man on a beach in Scotland. It was a deserted November. And when I went down to the shore, there was no footsteps there. And it later turned out that was a famous Sandalwood Bay. It's famous for a shipwrecked captain, but I knew nothing of that. But I knew that there was definitely a figure walking.
Yeah.
so
well,
who knows?
Who knows indeed. I will touch on a bit of that tomorrow, but I really want to talk about your latest wonderful initiative. Well, you're helping people, the Happy Explorer, which is great because that's you anyway, but helping people who might need a little bit more love, exploring the water around here. Well, you take us through it, Happy Explorer. What you up to?
Well, we're not just on water, but we're in forests and mountains, and we were meant for certain environments, and we feel happier. And I see it all the time, especially if there's trees and water. And they've measured this, and so even in hospital rooms now, there's a massive recovery difference if you can see trees. They measured this, and even a picture will do it. So pictures of trees and water aren't quite the full experience, but so just getting people out. And I noticed that someone had invented some glass bottom kayaks, and that's another magical world that I've been exposed to. And I just thought, wouldn't it be great if people could see that by just getting out? And so you're getting out, you're seeing all the wildlife, but then you're seeing this underwater world, which is, it's a lot less human influenced, and it kind of gives you an appreciation of what it might be like.
So you're working with individuals and groups. How's it physically working here?
Yeah, we've been taking out lots of different people, and again, I've just been we've taken out some trainee doctors to sit into the forest to do what's called forest bathing, but it's nothing to do with getting wet. Although sometimes paddle our feet, but that's another thing. And so they're just seeing that it just reduces people's anxiety. It helps reduce depression. Just getting outside. And I've been putting up rope swings randomly around the Isle of Man for a long time. So if you've got some favourite rope swings, they might
Be yours.
they could be. And I just love seeing young people getting out. And you're competing with some pretty advanced play games, and
Sure.
so just trying to get out there.
It is called Happy Explorer. Facebook, social media, website as well.
Yes.
Yeah, Happy Explorer. Today's piece of music, please, Andy. What have we got?
Well, I think I've got this beautiful song that I heard on the Lost World, and it's called Heartwood by Karine Polwart.
1, 2, 1. Would you hew me to the heartwood cutter? Would you lay me low beneath your feet? Listen to my sad mutter. Hear my heartwood beat. Would you throw me on the log pile cutter? Would you toss me to the steel saw blade? Listen to my leaves flutter. Hear my heartwood break. Would you lean your back against me, cutter? Would you rest your axe a while and sleep? Listen to the song I utter. Hear my heartwood weep. Hear my heartwood. Heartwood. Hear my heartwood. I drink the rain, I eat the sun, I give the breath that fills your lungs. I hear the roaring engines thrum, but I cannot run. Would you hew me to the heartwood cutter? Would you lay me low beneath your feet? Listen to my sad mutter. Hear my heartwood beat. Hear my heartwood. Heartwood. Hear my heartwood.
When we started MiTunes this week, I did hint that my guest had done rather a lot of things. Over 50 different engaging occupations, travelling the world. But the big thing we haven't yet talked about is really your music here on the Isle of Man. We've done a bit of busking somewhere in Scandinavia, but let's talk about you and your music here. You've been a huge force in the local music scene for many years, Andy.
That's very kind.
What do you have?
When we were young, there was the Lido, and it was Battle of the Bands, and And I remember just because I played the keyboards, and we had a local band called Stories for Boys, and they're all still fabulous musicians, and Simon Ray and Stuart Wattrett, and so they were all very passionate about music, and I was the one who said, "Sorry, boys, I think I want to travel the world," and so we'd written lots of songs, and Charles Gard had very kindly said, "Look, I really like what you're doing. Can I record it?" So we had this luxury of an EP when you're 16, 17, I
Brilliant.
suppose.
That's brilliant, isn't it?
And it was just one of the most satisfying things.
Now, talk me through the musical instruments you could put under your belt. I mean, you mentioned the keyboard. You've mentioned the ukulele. I'm thinking accordion, squeeze box.
Yeah.
Where else are we going?
Well, it's an embarrassing list because it just shows you that I should have concentrated on one and not just changed my mind.
I want them all. I want to hear them all. Come on.
Well, look, there's not more fun than playing the drums, and I love the cajon, the djembe, the baron. So
Now, for those, the cajon, I know, is something you sit on and play, but sort of beneath you.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
it's a wooden box.
A wooden box sit up, right? Okay, we got that.
A djembe is an African drum that you play with two hands that makes amazing sounds, and a baron is the Celtic skin drum.
Okay, so we've got quite a lot of
sticks.
percussion.
Then harmonicas,
Ooh.
flutes, whistles,
Yes.
low whistles, and I'd play a mandolin, a mandola, and a banjo.
You play a banjo.
Yeah, I
And
play.
I tell you, the banjo is no mean instrument. No mean instrument at all.
Yeah, the guitar and the piano, and
I'm sure I've recorded you playing the accordion in that room. I'm looking through a bit of glass to our studio where we put musicians. You were up here about 10 years ago.
yes, I think I helped out Ruby.
You did.
Ruby
Bisco. Yes, you did.
Yes.
And you were playing the accordion for her.
Yeah,
Loved it.
She loves a bit of accordion.
Loved it. More music to come from you. What have we got? More music?
Is there more music in the pipeline?
Yes.
Yes. There's an album which is, well, we'll call it a short album, shall we? But when you're as fickle as I am, then changing your mind daily is a small technical problem, isn't it? I mean, it's very satisfying making your own songs, but it's also really hard to judge. And I think we're all our own worst critic, but in music, no more so than me. And so it's just. Yeah, again, that process of getting rid of those shadows and demons that stop you, that's kind of as much of the process as actually writing and recording, isn't it?
I think one of the great examples of not quite knowing if it was going to work was when Eric Clapton did that Unplugged album and in front of a few friends, and it became his biggest album of all time.
Yeah.
And he didn't think it was going to be that special.
Yeah.
And it was just so natural, and him and the songs. So you never know, do you? You just don't know whether it's going to take off. I do hope we get to see you playing some more around the island.
I think there will be, definitely. So I am with my wife Luna, and we're doing more and more kind of mellow stuff. But I mean, we still got a beat, and we both love to dance. So just finding that mixture of soul and world music and maybe more conscious lyrics. I am conscious that the world's changing, and I don't really want to sing about the more banal things anymore. I think it's really hard to know where we're going, and so it's very hard. I think Bob Dylan was the master, and I would have chosen all Bob Dylan tracks, but it's so hard, isn't it? So you just have to.
Yeah. You, Andy North, I'm going to say, are a force for good, sir.
Oh.
And all power to you, to your wonderful, wonderful work that you're doing here on the island with Happy Explorer. Here's to more expeditions as well, and all the work you do musically. It's been a fantastic week. What are we going to finish up with?
Well, I mean, I think, this is Back and Beyond is a band that I've seen them quite a few times, and they're just one of those bands that's kind of living that dream. They make people dance at festivals all over, but they're not commercial. But they lived with the Pygmy tribe in Cameroon, and that's where this song's come from and is written by. And they brought a load of musicians back, and they're kind of the original Afro-Celtic band because they just fused their own and others. They've been around a while, but I defy anyone not to dance while listening to this.
You had the challenge. This is the man who danced too slowly. Andy, thank you for a great week.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Mark.
who danced too slowly. Wonderful. Great choices all week, Andy North. Thank you for being my MiTunes guest. Keep coming back here to banksradio.com for more podcasts appearing every single day. And join me if you can for Marc Tyley in the morning, 9:30 to 12, Monday to Friday.